Hello and welcome to Interactive Distractions, episode number 423. It's been a while. My name is Chris Fricchio, and I'm here with Jeff Torty.
What up, everyone?
Jason A. Stryker.
Hey, how's it going?
And Travis Baum.
Hey, what's up?
Gentlemen, you know something?
What's up?
It has been 1,556 days since we last did this.
That's it.
Wow.
But I talk to you guys every day, so it's
right.
like nothing. No time has passed. But
well, lots of time has passed.
Yeah, it's been a while since
how
we
are things
podcasted.
going? How are things going, Jason? How are you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good for the most part. I don't know if everybody knows, but I lost my job a few months ago, so I'm still currently looking, which has been deflating. But in the meantime, I get to record with you guys, so I'm super excited about that. That makes me very happy. I started streaming on my own for a little bit, but I got lonely. I wanted to see you guys again, so we're doing this shit.
All right. Good stuff, man. Travis, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. It has been a ride already just getting this entire podcast set up. So I too, like Jason, lost my job, and we were both kind of swimming in unemployment, and yeah, we were just kind of kicking the tires. And I think I put together like a 16-page PowerPoint and being like, here are the reasons why we should get in this.
We should
together.
do this.
And he sent it to me, and I just like, oh God, there's 14 pages here. Jesus, he must really want this to happen.
Yeah.
He's put a lot of thought into this. This is
so
here we are.
It's been a lot of work. We actually made InDisBidness, and we are just kind of toying around and seeing what we can do with it and have some fun, get back to the old stomping grounds with the guys. And I've been excited about getting it going because we've been doing a lot of the pain in the butt work to get everything set up, and now it's finally time. We recorded a little bit last night, and it was super fun. And
that was a good time.
We have the opportunity now to actually do the fun stuff, reap the creative rewards of getting Indis back together after all of the legwork is being done and everything. So I celebrated over the weekend with a nice Disney day with the wife, and kind of relaxed, rode some rides, ate some really unhealthy food.
Yes.
And
what'd you eat at Disney?
So we went to Cafe Orleans. We were able to comp a reservation there, which are very hard to get. So I got their version of like Creole gumbo, which was, hey, Chris's cat. That's a cat. That's a cat.
Don't show the butthole. Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, we're gonna get a.
It took 5 minutes.
We're gonna get a strike on YouTube.
Thanks, Twitch.
When we get a little cat nudity.
Oh, jeez.
It's gonna be great.
Thank you,
but yeah, I had the California Disney's version of like a Creole gumbo. It was not authentic, but it was tasty.
You know.
And then
but the prices were,
the prices were definitely up there for sure. It's not a cheap experience, especially for someone who goes like every 3 weeks or so. So
damn.
I gotta admit that's one thing I'm a bit jealous about, that you live out there and can get season passes for that and just take a Disney day. Like, that's really cool.
What are you talking about? We got Six Flags. We got Disney at home. It's fine.
So as I was saying, like, really jealous about that, you know.
I do spend a lot of time in Galaxy's Edge at Star Wars Land and stuff like that, which is really great. But we also have Universal Studios Hollywood over here, and we're going to be going to Super Nintendo Land. We were gonna go weeks ago, and I didn't get an opportunity to yet. But I did. Let me backtrack. I almost had an opportunity to go, but I turned it down because we were having the conversations of restarting Indus up, and to me that just screamed like a feature that we should have for Indus for the first like the first experience going to Super Nintendo Land. Sure. So that's something that you can keep out for viewers. So, but that's it for me, Jeffrey, my Canadian brother.
Hey guys. Feels like last week we did this, man.
It does. It really does.
Feels like last night.
You know what? It feels like last night, actually.
Well, we're pretending we didn't do... Well, I guess Travis already said we did something last night, so fuck. Honestly, I could go on forever what I've been up to the last, 3 years? I guess since we didn't officially... it's been a while.
2019 was the last official... And it was the 2018 Game of the Year show.
Game of the Year,
the last time we actually did something.
What was our Game of the Year?
Spider-Man.
God of War, Spider-Man. That's right. It was
Spider-Man. Yeah, it was one of those things where we were planning on fighting, like everybody had their gloves on, and everybody picked Spider-Man, and it was like, oh, well,
yeah, it was rare.
That might be the first time we've ever agreed on a game.
It was the easiest game of the year for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad to be back. I'm not unemployed, but something I'll go into later at some point. I've been off work for the last few months, but I'm returning back to work in a week and a half or 2 weeks from now. So we should have started this in January, guys. But yeah, no, I'm excited, man. I'm pumped. Let's talk some games. Let's do this.
Yeah. Chris, what's up with you, man?
I get to go too, right? Like I don't really have like much. Like I do still have a job. They did do voluntary layoffs at my job, and I know a lot of people that took it. It was a really good deal, and I considered it and decided, you know what? I'm the only one I'm one income for a family of 4. So don't want to take that risk. It's just it was too much for me to jump on, but. Things are going great. Family is great. Travis, you were talking about Disney. We're planning on going to Disney in December.
Yes.
We had a very busy April. My wife went to Canada. I went to MGC. Got to see a lot of our old VG Evo buddies. That was a lot of fun. That was a fantastic time. And then as a family, we went to Philadelphia and we went to the Cherry Blossom Festival. So that was a lot of fun. Nice. And in August, we are my wife and I are going to dump the kids with the in-laws, and we're going to Gen Con in Indianapolis.
Holy shit!
Awesome.
So that's going to be a good time. We're really looking forward to it. We're going to just drive up. It's only like 9 hours. But I got a buddy that used to own a board game place, like an actual like shop. And he goes every year. So him and his wife, and then another couple friend of ours are going, and that should be a good time too. But I've never been to Gen Con, so I'm really excited.
It is ground zero for board gaming and collectible card games and all of that.
Yeah, super excited. I've never been, so it's going to be a great time.
That's going to be fun.
But that's it, man. Let's jump into it. Like Jeff said, let's talk about games. Jeff was so excited.
Real quick, before we do that.
Sorry.
So let's talk
is it business time? Is it business time?
It's a little bit of business time. A little business like time. That. Right. So we have.
I don't do the business time. Travis does the business time.
Do you want me to do it? I mean, it's fine.
Guys. He has business time every day.
Business time, Travis. Okay, here we go.
So we are taking Indus in kind of a different direction. Like it was a hobby for us for some time, and it still kind of is, but like we wanted to kind of grow this, make it bigger than what it was before and everything like that. So we have updated all of our social medias, all of our pertinent social medias and everything. We have we're on Spotify now. We're still on Apple Music. We're still on Google Podcasts and everything like that. So you can find us there. We're going to be much more active on the social medias, especially with our Indus podcast Twitter account and other Twitter accounts. I don't know if like Blue Sky will ever become a thing anytime soon. But if it does become a thing, you can bet your bottom dollar we will be on there. But also we are starting a Patreon. And in the Patreon, this was probably one of the slowest builds throughout the entire creation of revitalizing interactive distractions. And we have work to do on the Patreon and stuff like that. But one of the things that was most important to us was that interactive distractions would always stay community focused. We always wanted to stay focused on hearing from you guys and interacting with you guys, for lack of a better term, and make sure that you are the focus of it. Kind of, you just maintain being the driving force of why we do this and everything like that. So right now we're only going to start off with one Patreon tier. It will always stay our lowest tier, and we're going to guarantee access to our Patreon. To our Discord community server. The only way you can get
it's live. It's live.
Get in Patreon. But you're going to get a ton because we're going to have some we're going to have some special like Discord only communication sessions, or even longer streams that are just for you guys, because a lot of our gaming streams will be on Twitch, open to the public. Our podcast is going to be open to the public at all times. That'll always remain free. We wanted the main show to always stay that way. That was number one when we even uttered the word Patreon. But we have some special things that we want to do, and there are going to be other Patreon tiers in the future. But we want to start off with the low tier. And all that information can be found right below Chris and Jeffrey's head. Go to our linktr.ee/interactivedistractions, and you'll find all of the links necessary, including that Patreon link. The cheapest tier gets you all of that access, and we'll add you to our Discord. And our Discord has multiple channels for like general chat, gaming chat. We have a specific stream chat. So if one of us is doing a stream and we only want to speak to the Discord users, that chat is going to be the chat that we focus on, and we're going to talk directly to you while we do our gaming or go through, reacting to articles or videos and stuff like that.
Can we have
Anybody
a
else?
fight stick Discord?
A fight stick Discord? You got it. I'll create it after we record. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you.
But that's it. That's the end of this business. We hope you guys join. Like we're really excited about this, and it was important to keep like core things free. But we want to make sure everyone, you guys, into our Discord server and be a part of the community. So we welcome you all. And if anybody has any questions, like, by all means, give us ask us.
Drop us a line.
Yep.
All right. Are we ready to talk games then?
Let's talk about some video games.
Jeff was super excited. We gotta let Jeff go first.
Dude. Okay, let's start with, I'm super excited, but now I got to talk about something that's not so super exciting.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So Redfall.
Energy's coming down already.
Oof. Oh, okay.
I figured we'll get it out of the way early because we're probably gonna talk about it a little bit later too. Has anyone else given this a shot?
Yeah, I have.
Hey, Jeff,
actually.
I wanna buy Redfall. Should I buy Redfall?
It's on Game
No.
Pass. Come
Short
on.
answer, no. But it is on Game Pass.
It is on Game Pass. I
should
tried
be the only way to play
roughly 5 minutes or so before I couldn't stand the controls anymore.
You have to adjust them. That's stupid. I don't know.
That is stupid. That it's ridiculous, and I'm not going to do that. No.
Adjust them for what?
Well, they put a dead zone on it for you just need to go into the options and there's a setting that's input something rather. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but if you put that to low, it fixes that.
Okay, I thought it did it like overall instead of just on the right stick.
No,
okay.
No, it's just the right stick, and it made it feel immediately better.
Okay.
Like immediately, I did the same thing. I was like, what the hell? This feels like okay. The first issue was not really a big issue for me. I don't mind games at 30. As long as they're steady 30 and locked at 30, that's fine for me. But this felt, I started playing and I'm like, this doesn't feel like 30. Like this feels like 20. Like it just the dead zone on the aiming
your stomach.
Was terrible. Yeah, I was like, holy crap. And someone on Twitter I saw suggested that. I'm like, oh shit, let me try this. And I tried. I'm like, oh my god, world of difference. So I've told everyone who's been playing it or trying to do this, and everyone's been like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, much better. That fixes that problem. For those who might not know, Redfall's the new Arcane game that came out. It's like a looter shooter. You can play it single player or co-op. Yeah, you're basically going against vampires and like cultists and stuff like that. Like on paper, it seems pretty cool. But this game released buggy and half baked, and I don't know why they didn't put this in like an early access or something for something like $40 and not. Games are $100 here in Canada. So if you don't have Game Pass, it's a hard sell. But this is the issue with the game. It's really glitchy. The AI is terrible. And I mean terrible. Like you'll play the game and multiple times you'll see the AI just walking into something. Looks like they're skating around on skates, but not moving their legs. Clipping into stuff in the environment.
Well, that's just vampire powered, man.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good feature.
It's a feature.
So I'm just kind of like mind blown how they were able to look at this game as a whole. Like, and we have to say straight up, like, much respect to the lives that these developers like just the work they put into it, the time they put into it, and everything like that. At the end of the day, these are human beings. They're doing their best. But like, why you wouldn't just like at least put it in early access? But like, why wouldn't you just not cancel it, but like delay it again? I am so okay with another delay.
Maybe it wasn't their call. You know, maybe it was just
Yeah.
Microsoft's call at that point. Microsoft needed a big win, and they should have, you know, said, "Hey, this is not ready. Let's push this off." But they've been needing an exclusive for so long. It's like they've really wanted it, and I think they put it out too early, and it shows. It's ridiculous.
Dude, it's like 32% on Steam right now.
Really bad. It plays it. Okay, on top of all the glitches and stuff, your gun will disappear. You can't crouch for a while. A lot of the missions are very super repetitive. You're doing the same fetch quest type things over and over, and that wouldn't be bad if the world was dense and populated. But it's not. Like, I think the world looks good thematically and art style.
It's got a nice style. Yeah,
graphics are not amazing. I mean, you can go play Dishonored 2 or play Prey or even Deathloop, which was their last game, and they all look significantly better. They look significantly better technically than Redfall does.
Yeah.
And two of those games I mentioned are last generation. And that's fun. They're on a new engine this time, Unreal Engine 4. They didn't use that for the games, but there's other games that it comes down to, it just definitely wasn't ready. I know it's a new game. That's something that they're not really used to making. They're used to making those like what's it called, sims, like
immersive sims,
that type of stuff. And this is not that. It's got little bits of that sprinkled in here and there. If there's any kind of like saving grace, I have had fun playing co-op, and that's one because when you do get into the big firefights and you are fighting the vampires and things are working and you're using your powers and stuff, it's fun.
Those
and
powers
the second
seem
half
pretty
of
cool.
the fun, they are cool. I wish they synergize better with each other.
Sure.
And some of them just seem kind of really pointless in the co-op aspect, and some even in the single player. I've used about 3 characters and I have about. I'm not finished this game, so full disclosure, I have about maybe 6 hours into it, which is unbelievable because I honestly thought after the first half an hour I was done.
That's plenty to form an opinion. So.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't take 6 hours to decide whether or not you like especially a co-op game, but it's fun when you get in those moments and you get it with your banter and all that kind of stuff with your friends. It's a good time. And the other half of that is laughing at all the glitches and looking like, look at this bullshit. Like, you see that bullshit over there? Like, oh,
Am I seeing like a repeat of what we did with Haze? Like should I jump on PC Game Pass and we all get on and just laugh at this game?
Honestly, like, I'm trying to think if Haze would actually be a worse game or not in terms of.
Oh, I don't know.
It better be.
Haze,
oh my god,
Haze was really bad.
awful.
The thing is, Haze was never fun. Like, even though we didn't play for too long, when we played that game, I was like, this is just not a fun game. But then again, Redfall it has really the FPMs are very low, and that's my funds per minutes.
Okay.
Is low.
Funds per minute.
Yeah, I just made that up. So if I'm not having a certain amount of fun with a certain amount of minutes and that doesn't repeat, then that's going to be my new scale, and it does not have a really high FPM. So I'm still going to give it a shot. I mean, the campaign's not apparently super long, so if I play through it co-op, it'll be okay. And it's one of those games I hope they do what they did with Sea of Thieves and Grounded, which also didn't review that well, but they were early access at launch, but now they're amazing. But I don't think they're going to put Arcane on that. Like, I think something came out recently that Arcane's already moving forward, or at least starting what their next game is. That's not to say they're dropping Redfall, but it would be nice if they gave them like at least a year to really clean it up, which who knows, we'll see. That 60 frames per second patch is supposed to come, but I don't know what they're going to do to get that running at 60 frames, because the way it looks now, like, what are they going to sacrifice?
Sounds like they need a 30 frame patch to keep it steady first.
Seriously,
you got to crawl before you walk, guys.
Oofed.
Yeah,
it's mind-blowing that it's this bad. And it's, if performance was one thing, because we'll talk about Jedi Survivor in a moment, and that was a performance issue in terms of like frame rates like that. So like I think we're slowly starting to like lower our bar more and more as like we see more issues with new game releases and things like that. And the fact that this is more than that, this is just a buggy mess, like it's just it's really disheartening.
It is
to see that.
I think there is a foundation there for something decent, and I hope they get to work on it more and hope they improve it a lot. But I mean, it is on Game
That
Pass,
was
so if
going
you
to
do
be
have
my
Game
question.
Pass, definitely
Like,
try it.
are they? That was going to be my question. Does it seem like they're going to do something to improve? So hopefully they do.
I think they'll improve the glitches and technicality part of it,
Yeah.
but in terms of the actual
Like the
content
performance of
of
the game?
not
Oh, the
necessarily the
content?
performance, the content and like what there is to do
Mhm.
and the feed, like that type of stuff, like that's gonna, unless they have a dedicated team, I can't see them doing too much outside of performance type stuff. They do have DLC planned, but it's mostly like new characters and stuff like that, as far as we know. Yeah, we'll see.
And Arcane Austin has the chops, man. Like this is their main
for
team,
sure.
right?
This is their
And
first like
they
miss.
have the chops. Like we've seen Dishonored, we've seen these top tier titles.
Prey was their last one, I think. The one that this
Prey
team
was
did.
the last one. Yeah, Deathloop wasn't Austin, right? That was another one. Regardless, still a great game within the pedigree of that studio. So it's just disheartening, and I still want to play this game. I haven't jumped into it because of all the issues, but I still really want to play this game. So if there's
we should play some tomorrow. Honestly, whoever's around during the day. I wanted to today, but I just couldn't get a good slot to be like, hey guys, let's jump on. Sorry, one thing before we move on is something that really bugged me about single player. That when I did co-op, it was like when you're playing with the other characters, because I wouldn't even say they're class-based. They kind of are. They have different powers, but anyone can pretty much use the same guns. But when you're in a party, your characters talk to each other while you're playing, and they have banter. And it adds a lot to, especially those walks when you're going through like a barren area of the game. There's no enemies to even kill. It adds something to listen to, and it's kind of cool, and some of it's kind of funny, and it gives you some backstory type stuff. None of that's in single player. You don't experience any of that because you don't have these characters in the single player campaign.
That's interesting.
Like, yeah, so they're just like, it's like you're by yourself in this area with like whatever NPCs, and the NPCs may as well not be there either. They're basically icons with like barely
Left
any.
4 Dead was kind of the same way too, because you were when you played with other people, you had that banter between the AI.
I never played that single player. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when the AI ran it, they bantered as well, right? I mean, I thought they did.
Yeah, but when you play single player, you just play by yourself, right?
No.
Yeah, but no.
I don't mean banter with people, like actual people. I mean the characters.
No, yeah, the characters. Was Left 4 Dead? Couldn't you have AI running the other characters?
That game would be impossible solo.
I can't remember.
Because you get grabbed by something and there'd be no way to get out. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You could play it solo though.
Okay. I don't remember that.
Oh.
All right.
I honestly don't remember. I played it mostly co-op in the versus mode, so
yeah,
or whatever mode that was when But yeah, before we get into Star Wars, I know whether there's anyone else played other stuff besides Star Wars that we can get to before Star Wars. Want to talk about Star Wars?
I've been playing a shitload of Street Fighter.
Nice.
Street
6
Fighter
or the older one?
6. Yeah, 6.
Okay.
Just the demo over and over and over.
How many characters are available in the demo?
Just 2. It sucks. It's terrible. It's
like Ryu and
Luke. Yeah. So they've done not open betas, but closed betas that have had more characters. But those are very old builds. This is one of the newest builds, but they only have 2 characters available. So what you do is you like go into training mode and you can get to a point where you can, do a special move, and then that's your training room essentially. So you can keep playing this kind of over and over. You have a training mode. You have local one-on-one. I haven't played it with my son, but I would totally kick his ass. I'm sure. Maybe. I don't know. He's getting better at stuff.
Oh, they have that basic mode in there now. You hit like a button. Does
modern
stuff.
controls. Yeah.
Did you do the little hack for the training room where you just set it to the super like ultra thing or whatever? I can't remember what they're called in this. And then you basically have the free open training to do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That's what I messed around with. Yep. Yeah.
And you can do that for both the dudes.
Oh,
as
okay,
well.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't tell where I'm going to land on it. I don't particularly love the art style. I'm not in love with the characters yet, probably because they're too new. And I'm an old fuddy-duddy.
But you can emote all your characters on the versus screen.
That's true. Yes.
Well, the open beta is next week.
Changes everything.
Yeah. There's going to be another open beta. Apparently, it's still the old build.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but there'll be a lot more characters to play. So.
Yeah.
And I'm curious because I don't think they really included this in any of the demos, and we've only seen a couple of trailers. But what is up with that single player story mode? Like,
I have no interest in
It's-
that. Did you
it
try that?
seems
it really
okay.
intrigues. It intrigues me. Like, it makes me want to get this game
It is
day one.
goofy as shit, and I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah, like they know what they're doing, and they're doing it well. You know, you can customize your character into like ridiculously, you know,
Love it.
It is
deformed-
crazy. Yeah.
that is-
Love it.
That's nuts. And just the fact that you can do like a Chun-Li
Hurricane kick.
hurricane kick.
Or
Yeah,
yeah.
there we.
Whatever her spinning kick
spinning-
is.
Yes, spinning
bird
bird kick. There we
Bird
go.
kick.
Spinning
Yeah.
bird kick. That's it.
You can do that
The
like
internet's
across
yelling
gaps
at
and
us,
shit.
Scott
Yeah.
Sauer is yelling at us. That's what's happening right now.
Yeah, she's not my character, man. I don't know.
That sounds
Yeah.
pretty rad. Like, I think that is a selling point for me to kind of like jump back into the series because I haven't played since Super 4?
Super?
Yeah.
Super, probably,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think you
So,
joined
it's
us
been
with
a
Alpha
while.
or Ultra.
No, I didn't play Ultra. No, I was out the game, boys. I had dominated the scrub sport too hard with my Blancas,
Oh yes,
and I had to put him away. Had
Yeah.
to retire him.
he
may
he's
come back.
retired now. He looks
He
good.
may come back.
He looks really
He
good.
does look good. I do
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it. So,
What else we got?
what else we got? Jeff, you played a little bit of Benedict Fox, the last.
Oh
case
yeah,
of
I did.
Benedict
I did play a
Fox,
little
did
bit of
you?
that, yeah.
I
Yeah.
actually played that to completion.
Okay. What do you
Not
think?
quite
I
sure
played it for a
why.
bit. I played like 2
Not
hours.
quite sure why.
Really?
It's the game is fine. Like, if you're looking at a 10-point scale, this is like the greatest example of like a 6 out of 10 in my opinion. Like, it has a great style to it. Like, the look, feel, the voice acting is really
Does look
fun.
great.
The mood is great. It's got a great setting. It's kind of like this spooky Lovecraftian type of Metroidvania game. But, you know, and you have like your standard combat, which I'll jump to in a second because that's one of the areas of the game where I'm kind of like, I really dislike it.
It's not good. Yeah.
But they also include a ton of like really smart, really cool puzzles and everything. And the puzzles range somewhere in this gray area in between like Resident and Myst puzzles because there's a lot of items you need to unlock new puzzles. But then you have like these Myst style puzzles where there are a lot of like, there's a lot of numerology or symbology that you need to use, and you have this book that you have to open up, and you have to kind of decipher this language of this book to answer, like to solve the puzzles in the game. And there are multiple different versions of it. They keep them pretty fresh, so you're not doing the same puzzle over and over and over again. So that was really refreshing. So that part of the game was fantastic. So all those things that I mentioned, but like when you get to the combat, like the combat and kind of like the platforming controls are the two areas of the game where I think it drops the quality of the game rather significantly. The combat, I'm sorry, it's just straight up bad. You only have a
No, it
couple
is
of it.
bad.
So they do some novel things, right? So like the actual melee combat is bland, bad. But you also have kind of like, and it's very akin to, you know, the Darkness 1 and 2 games where it was a first person shooter, but you also had
Yeah.
like the tentacles flying out of you and everything. Awesome games. They do the same thing, the same idea with this character, but for Mania. So you have your crap melee combat, but then you also have these great powers where you can, you know, and as you level up and everything, you can shoot out the tentacles and grab enemies and like throw them up in the air. And when they come down, you can hit them with melee or jump and attack with melee. That's how you unlock kind of like the Mario jump and like butt slam and everything. You can bust through walls to open up new areas in the map. So like the full suite of like powers and different items that you can pick up to unlock new areas and backtrack and everything like that. It's really, really great. Like I said, the mood is awesome. If you love Lovecraftian, if you love like HP Lovecraft, like this is kind of like this is going to be your jam because it really leans into it. But the combat, the iffy platforming made me more frustrated as the game got on and on and on, because I was like, okay,
Sure.
maybe there's going to be an ability that makes this easier to deal with. No, it's not. The double jump's weird because like if you have no roof around you, the double jump is the tentacles grab the ceiling and pull you up for a double jump. So if you are used to double jumping all over the place, because there's like a roof over your head the majority of the game, but then you'll come across like a group of enemies and I'm like, you know what? I just want to jump past these guys.
Yeah.
And there's no roof over your head. You don't notice it until you try to double jump, and then you jump right into the enemy's attack, and it's just like frustrating and very inconsistent there. So it really drops it down major.
You know what it reminded
That's
me
like
of?
where.
Oh, sorry.
Well, go ahead. What do you remind you?
I was just gonna say, did any of you guys play Trek to Yomi?
Yeah, I played a little bit of that.
God, I
Like-
did not like that game.
See, I played that to completion, and I had the issues I had with Trek to Yomi are the same kind of issues I had with Benedict Fox, and it was with the combat just felt weird. Like sometimes there was an input delay, sometimes there wasn't.
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
there was a collision, sometimes there
Yep.
wasn't, and that was like a theme throughout the entire time. But that game had me going, and I think Benedict would have had me go to the end, but I had the waypointing in that game. Call me old. Well, actually, if you call me old, I should be being like, I don't need hand holding. I did it the old-fashioned way, and I fucking waited for my Nintendo Power. And yes, Simon's Quest is a good game. No, like you don't know where to go a lot of the times, and it lets you turn on the icons that you discover. So it'll be like, hey, you need this to get into this room, whatever. But it doesn't tell you where you need to go next. So I took a couple days off from playing it, and I was like, I'm gonna play a little bit of this, and then I didn't know where to
You're
go.
lost.
I had no freaking clue, and I'm like, I'm not gonna run around the map and figure it out. I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I get it when you take some time off and you come back and you're just lost, so it kind of turns you off on the idea of it. I love that about Metroidvanias. It's one of my favorite genres, and I just love just like going, what corner? Like, okay, look at the map. What was here? This question mark's here. Okay, let me see if I have that thing. Like, and I just like that constant searching and everything. And I think the fast travel points in the game are pretty good. I think it's one of the
No,
stronger
the fast
elements
travel's
of the
fine
game.
because it lets you do it whenever you want, as long as you have those crystals. Or as long as it's you lose your crystal, or as long as you don't have those crystals, I should say.
Right.
So it's kind of a little bit of a souls thing where if you die, you lose these essence things. But
Yeah. But I finished it to the end. Like it's not one of those situations. Like usually I beat a game and I'm like, I'm glad I finished that. I finished it and I was like, kind of happy that I can move on. At this point.
It's
Not a
disappointing
terrible
because it
game.
looks so good, and the atmosphere and the style is so good.
It's so good. Yeah.
And then it's just
And the puzzles, like just for the puzzles alone, because what really kind of made it better for me, they have two accessibility options. They have accessibility for combat and for puzzles. So you can do like the auto solve puzzles. I do not recommend, like if you're getting towards the game and you're tired of solving puzzles, you feel like you've earned your way, fine, whatever. But like I think you're doing yourself a disservice. The puzzles are the best part of this game. But I had more fun when I turned the combat accessibility to story mode, to where like most everything was a one-hit kill. It's not automatic. These guys will smoke you. They're tricky enemies. And then, like I said, you're also fighting with the combat half the time, very similar to Trek to Yomi.
And the every once in a while input lag.
You're going to that is probably the biggest boss in the game, and that's actually like that. I joke, but that's another missed opportunity in this game. So the game starts you off with like a big boss battle in the first hour, and it's a pretty fun battle for all intents and purposes. And then there is not another boss until the very end of the game.
Oh, really? That boss was cool.
No, the boss is cool, but you don't get another boss. Like
that's what I'm saying. That's disappointing.
The only other boss encounters that are like these chase sequences where they're just platform focused, and they're fun for what they're worth. But I mean, at the end of the day, they're just like I wanted more boss battles. Like we're talking about like the top tier Metroidvanias, Hollow Knight, Metroid Prime had killer boss battles. Probably some of the best boss battles that I've experienced in a couple of years.
Good boss battles.
Yeah, Dread. That's what I meant. Yeah, Dread. Like I feel like Metroidvanias have to have those boss battles, and to only have 2 in the game, and then 2 that are in the game are awesome. But to only have 2 in a 12 to 15 hour experience, that was a missed opportunity.
Holy shit.
I took my time with it. It's probably more closer to 12, 11 or 12.
Still.
But I think you can take it the distance for sure. But yeah, it's not a bad game if you need a Metroidvania in your life, and it's on Game Pass. So
there's
really
so
no
many
reason.
options though that are really good. So it's
yeah,
hard.
there's a lot of good Metroidvania.
That's a crowded space, so it's hard to edge your way in.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I kind of wish I had a better computer to play more Steam games and stuff like that, because I feel like the King's Ransom of Metroidvanias are on Steam.
Oh yeah,
and yeah, you don't get as many on console.
Well,
Sure.
which ones do you think you're missing on
I can't
consoles
name them.
compared to
There's
Steam?
so many of them. I can't.
Yeah,
name
I
them.
mean,
have no
that's
idea.
the thing. It's like Metroidvanias are my, that's one of my go-to genres, and I can't think of anything right now that I would jump to PC to play that isn't already on a console somewhere. So, I don't think you're missing out much. Like as you said, Hollow Knight. Even though I'm one of the unusual people that still, after 3 tries, couldn't get into Hollow Knight for some reason.
I couldn't.
It's so good.
I don't want my power-ups just to be extra map stuff, right? I want something different. But
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. I get it.
But I understand that a lot of people really like that game. But yeah, I can't think of any major Metroidvanias that have come out recently that aren't available on consoles.
Certainly not major ones, but there's a lot. There's a lot that get released on PC that don't make it over to console for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's certainly some of the less known ones.
Definitely.
But like the big ones are all coming over. There's plenty. There's plenty. Another one just came out. I was going to talk about called After Image. I don't know if you guys have heard of that one.
Yep.
But I actually kickstarted that one, and I haven't gotten a chance to put much time of it because it came out like right around the time that the Horizon DLC came out. But it's just freaking gorgeous, hand-drawn, fun combat, lot of like weapon options, and different weapon options. Like one of the things that my favorite is obviously Symphony of the Night, but a lot, outside of some of the more rare weapons, there's a lot of weapons in there that feel exactly the same. And this has like different weapon types. So like whips feel very different from swords, feel very different from scythes, like feel very different from, there's like, I don't remember how many types there are, but there's, I want to say there's at least like 6 or 9 different weapon types that you can you can get. And then there's like your skill tree. You can actually build your skill tree into each of the different weapons. I need to get back to it. I know that the developers got a lot of negative feedback on the fast travel system, because the fast travel system was done by potion, and it was like this extremely rare like drop that you had to get. And they apparently had put in the game an opportunity to buy them to kind of ease that pain. So I will definitely go back to it because it was a lot of fun. But
I heard the checkpoints as well are kind of a pain in the ass.
I ran into that early on when I started playing, and the funny thing is like it also like it feels weird with the way that they do like what areas you're in, because around level 5 I immediately dropped into an area that said it was level 11.
God damn. No,
and
I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah, right. It felt like I wasn't supposed to be there, but then I watched the developer play in the game, and that's the direction he went. I'm like, okay, I guess I am supposed to be there. So, but yeah, I another great Metroidvania, and I apologize for diverging off of what you guys were talking about.
No, it's awesome.
It felt like it was the right time to do that. But yeah, that one's if you're into Metroidvanias, that one is super, super beautiful, and it's called After Image. And I think it's available on everything.
Cool. So. What else you playing, Chris?
I mentioned the Horizon DLC. I feel like I did it a disservice, though. I jumped into it and I played through it, and I absolutely loved it. But I loved it because I was playing, the same way I was playing before. I didn't really try out any of the new abilities that they gave Aloy. I didn't really try any of those out.
That new weapon feel like you get is awesome.
Oh no, the weapons, like I tried a bunch of the new weapons, but like they give you new I can't remember what they call them, but when she like basically her super move, I can't remember what they called them.
It's the new moves they added to the skill trees and everything.
Right. So
I don't think I used a single one either. I did.
Yeah, I just stuck to the stealth one, man. The stealth one was so good, and you got so many damage bonuses out of it. But yeah, I did a lot. I used a lot of that. So the one thing I did notice though is like, and this was, I think this is it was a good move by them. One of my frustrations about the vanilla game was that you get these really powerful legendary weapons, but the amount of farming that you have to do to actually upgrade them it gets kind of ridiculous. And I don't know if it was just because I was farming for some of the upgrades for the legendaries that I had, but I didn't feel like the new legendaries needed as much work to get upgraded. And again, that might be just because I farmed to get the current stuff that I had up to level 5 before I jumped into the DLC. But it felt like they lightened that load a little bit.
Yeah, the upgrade stuff in the DLC was its own currency.
It was its own currency, but you still needed the machine parts. You still needed all the machine parts. And in the vanilla game, like getting all those machine parts, it was like you need 3 of these hearts from this Apex. What was the big fucking water dinosaur that they had? Like that guy. Like you got to go kill 3 of those. And it's just I didn't feel like that was as bad with the legendary weapons that they gave you in the DLC. But I did do a lot of exploring in the new area, and I found a cauldron. There's a new cauldron for the new robot type.
The frog, right?
The frog, yeah. God, fuck
probably
that frog,
that was the best enemy in the game for sure.
No, fuck that frog, dude. I don't like it. Cool. I do like the introduction of its abilities. Like it had a I don't know if we would considering it spoiling it, so I don't want to do any of that. But sure. Like it did have an interesting ability that made combat a little bit more. It made you have to be more aware of your surroundings. I'll say it that way. But yeah, overall, like really, really good addition to the story too, I think.
Yeah, the DLC, especially the story, was really good. But the DLC, especially coming off the months of finishing the vanilla sequel, am I allowed to say a really unpopular opinion?
I can't wait.
I mean, don't we all do that eventually? So go ahead.
I don't think the combat's very good.
No, it's not.
I don't think it's good either.
Yeah.
I don't think it's very good. And I think a lot of the problem is internal. I kind of shift the blame to myself when I'm playing this game because like I have an issue with a game. Like I don't need my action games to be like mindlessly hack and slashy. Like I don't need that. I can appreciate a game where it's like this enemy has a weakness to this. Like I'm replaying the Guardians of the Galaxy after watching the movie. I wanted to go back and play that excellent Guardians of the Galaxy game, and they have like situations where enemies are weak to certain elements and things like that, and there are only 4 elements in the game. And I can tolerate that. But for a game like Horizon that has like an ungodly amount of enemies, and every enemy has a very specific set of weaknesses and strengths, and you have a very specific large set of weapons in your arsenal that all do different things, and they added like 3 or 4 more elements on top of what was already in the game. It was unnecessary. But now you have all these enemies that have extra weaknesses to these extra things, and then the game tells you need to take your time, you need to like scope them out with your focus, read what their weaknesses are, and then use those. And if you don't have those equipped, you need to equip those and get ready and everything like that. And I just don't have the patience for that kind of management. Like I think the gameplay itself, I think actually firing the bow and arrow, firing the weapons, dodging the enemies, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It's the strategic map that they put in front of you, and it is just so convoluted. I mean, not necessarily convoluted. It's
overwhelming
word. It's super overwhelming. And
do you want a secret? Do you want a secret?
What's that?
Advanced explosive spike thrower. Done.
I have that. I use that. Yeah.
That thing is like
it's the wind stick.
Like it literally is a wind stick. If you run into an issue and you're having trouble with a monster, you just throw the advanced explosive spike throw at her.
Those were the only resources I was constantly running out of and had to farm because I was always using that one item But then again, accessibility options, change the combat to story mode if you, which I did, and I still enjoyed the game for what it's worth. Because then every enemy can go down to like I can enjoy the parts of the combat that I do enjoy, and not worry about all the tedious things that bother me about the game that or just kind of like overwhelm my mind. So
The
that's
only thing I really did with when it came to Horizon is I put the loot on easy mode. Like I got to the point where
Same
I was
here.
just
Yeah.
done shooting parts off. I'm like it's not like if in that situation, it's not like she wouldn't be able to rip the part off after it was dead. It's like I don't look at it as being. I didn't think it was a necessary addition for them to kind of force you into shooting off the parts.
Yeah.
So I did that, and other than that, I didn't really have any issues with the combat. Like I basically kept like my equipment wheel was always populated with at least one of each element type. And yeah, I agree with you. It's a little overkill. Like it absolutely is. But there were a few that I was always able to fall back on. That would be a big help, and that's like the fire and the corrosion. Those are always two that are really easy to go to. If it's not strong against it, it's good to use, like the fire and the corrosion. So those were always really helpful. But yeah, I've always been I always felt the combat felt really good, like from the actual gameplay perspective. But I see your point.
Yep. All right. So
and after that, it's just Jedi Survivor, man.
Indeed.
Is that what's up? Is that what's next?
That game is all right, boys.
The game's pretty good.
That game's
pretty good.
When it runs, what the fuck? Come
So
on.
let's
It's
start
pretty
with
good
that.
if you have it on a console.
Let's start. Let's
No,
start
it's
with
not.
that. Like
It's not.
Yeah,
it's not
it is.
great. No, it's not. You can maybe run it at 30 in quality mode or whatever, but
yeah.
if you put it in performance, it dips so
It's
often
so
that
bad.
it's.
Oh, performance modes.
Yeah, I kept it in quality mode based on
And
like what
I can't deal
Jeff
with it.
originally mentioned.
I can't deal with it. Nope. Cannot deal.
I was happy that it
cannot
stayed.
deal with your 30 frames per second.
No, I'm with Jason on this. Like the whole
Sucks.
time I was playing it, I felt like I was purposefully lowering my bar and being like, okay, this is just the best it's going to be right now, and I need to enjoy it for what it's worth. And you shouldn't have to fucking do that. So I'm with Jason on that mode. I wanted 6 second, and then from the jump, that first initial Coruscant level just showcased that this is going to be problematic from the get-go. And like Respawn made decisions early on that for this to be a current gen or next gen, are we even in next gen yet? To be in this current generation only, not using older consoles, they made creative decisions to like keep ray tracing, reflections, global illumination on across all modes. And I think personally that was a bad mistake. It should have been stuck to 30 frames per second quality mode, keep that there, and do like the standard lighting techniques, remove ray tracing altogether on the performance mode, and give us a smooth. I know what they were trying to do, but they just could not hit the mark. And Jeff and I talked about this off air a couple of days ago. Like, I don't know at this point if they can. I mean, maybe they can like create a toggle to turn off ray tracing and global illumination, but I don't know if they can at this point. It seems like well ingrained in both modes. I just don't know if we'll ever get a constant 60 frames with those features turned on.
I'll be honest with you, like I have not had any issues with running it at 30 frames. Like
Same.
honestly,
I just think we're tolerant of it more. That's all.
And that's the thing. I think we're more tolerant of it.
Yeah.
But I have seen some crazy ass areas where, like, visually the game just looks awful, and I'm not sure why. Like there are like situations. There was one situation specifically where I walked into a populated area. I think it might have been the bar, the main hub.
The bar's rough, yeah.
Yeah, everybody looked awful. Like all of the like the details on the character models were just it was just bad. This is really, really bad.
I never saw that.
Yeah, and then I ran into one thing the other day where I walked into like a dark area and I had Merrim with me, and I'm like, is Cal's hair glowing? Like, what the fuck is that? And like, it literally looked like his hair was glowing. And when I started like moving around the camera, and it just looked off.
That's
I don't
the
know.
ray
It's
tracing. Yeah.
but yeah, it's just weird stuff like that. It's weird. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once I decided though to shift gears from the negative to the positive, once I put it in my head that okay, I'm fine with a near constant 30 frames. The game's gorgeous for the most
Oh,
part.
it's
It
one
really
of
is.
the best looking games I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It
it's
is.
again outside of the little weird things that I keep
honestly,
seeing.
I must have got lucky because I just finished the game today, and I literally I had it crash one time, and I had one cutscene that was kind of like stuttery, but other than that, there was like I had no problems.
The cutscenes are
Zero.
weird. Like most cutscenes are at 30 frames. So when you're playing in performance mode, you have a lot of it'll automatically jump to a 30 frame cutscene.
It's jarring too. Yeah,
It's
it's weird.
jarring. And then when
Yeah,
you're
I can
in
imagine that would be unusual.
when you're in 30 frames when you're in 30 frames quality mode and then you fast travel to a new planet, the scene where your ship is flying into the port is always at 60 frames. What? Like what's going on? It's like super jarring to go like from one set of frames
Yeah,
to
if it
another.
keeps throwing you back and forth.
It's so weird. Like I don't know what they were doing behind the scenes to make those decisions. Like maybe there were concessions they had to make this to get things to a level where it's running or what I don't know, but it's so jarring. Jason nailed it. But
Has the patching helped at all with that?
No.
I have seen zero improvement from any patch.
Really? Okay.
Zero improvement on console. I'm on console. Jeff is too.
Yeah, I'm on PS5, and
Okay.
my frame rate is usually stable with 30 frames. I've seen some dips here and there, but most of the time it seems pretty
It
steady.
dips around water, some fog elements and stuff like that. It'll dip around there.
Yeah, and
but
I found some heavily populated areas where like with enemies, not necessarily in the
okay.
bar. I don't really have I don't have frame dips in the bar, but like I've seen populated areas where I'm fighting
Right.
enemies, and it goes, and if like all of them are shooting at the same time, it just kind of starts to
Yeah.
Skip.
starts to stutter a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the focus on the good, like the combat is as
Combat's
good as
great.
expected. It's really great. I didn't embrace all the stances as much as I thought I was going to. Like I got to the point where I thought I was liking crossguard a lot. And then I was like, okay, I'm gelling with it. And as I played more and more, I was like, oh, I'm actually not enjoying crossguard as I want. So I went back to the single-handed blade and then blaster, which I felt blaster was like the most OP stance out of all of them.
I haven't
So I
really
just,
messed with that one yet, and I
oh,
think
it's
the
good.
reason is because when I'm looking at how it's used, like it feels like the saber is secondary, and I like even when I look at the skill tree for that particular stance, all the most like I think it's like one or two skills are saber focused, and
So
the rest
it's
of them are about the blaster and getting it to recharge.
yeah, there's synergy in there. So like you attack with melee, it adds to your bullet count, and then of course you shoot your bullets at lower. So you have to have like some back and forth, some synergy in kind of refilling your saves. And it sucks though because like you can't swap to another weapon and do your melee because that won't.
It won't
Yeah,
recharge the
you
gun.
have to use the blaster stance melee
Yeah,
to recharge. And I wish there even if there was like a skill in a skill tree that says okay your other stances will refill your bullets or something like that. I felt that would have been cool. That was the only thing Blaster was missing for me. But for straight up, like the combat, there was not a moment throughout my entire 25 hours in that game where I felt the
did you beat
combat
it
ever
too?
got stale. Yeah, I finished it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah,
finished it. And
I was just happy when I walked into the game and got to run around dual wielding, and I haven't put
yeah.
that shit down yet. Like
Okay, cool.
it has been all about the dual wielding. Like I love the like the force counter that he's got where he
Yeah.
like hovers the lightsabers, and
That's my favorite
if you
stance
hold
too.
down,
It's
dude,
pretty
that
good.
shit is so good. And I don't know why, but like closing the distance with a run and then jumping in the double slash
Yep.
feels so effective. And just kind of leads into everything. So I don't know. I just really I've really enjoyed the dual wield stance, and I've been sticking with that for most of it. I've messed around with the blaster a little bit. Like the single and the double, I didn't even bother. Like it was all about dual wield.
I was single and double almost the entire time.
Oh yeah,
I
okay.
messed around with all the other ones, but um, One, I can't believe you guys use a blaster and you're a Jedi. How dare you?
I don't, man. I don't do it. I don't mess with it.
Nope. And I didn't like the cross guard. It was too slow for me, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I was just getting knocked out of my
Oh,
animations.
but dude,
too
you
much. I'm
get
like,
a drop kick.
Did
Your
you?
running
Drop
attack
kick.
is a drop
Open that up.
kick. It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's pretty good.
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
So I'm still, I haven't beaten it yet, and I'm not sure how far I am, but I didn't just get the cross guard, but I got it pretty recently, like within the past 2 or 3 hours of the game. So I haven't really messed with it a lot.
2/3 maybe.
Oh yeah, okay.
Maybe even half. I'm trying to remember
Okay.
where that is exactly.
But yeah, I haven't messed with it much. The additional stances, like I just stick to dual wield, and I'll go and mess with the other stances when I'm starting to fill in all the gaps to get the platinum, because I know I'm going to go after it on this one. I love this game too much.
It doesn't seem like an impossible platinum.
What's that?
It doesn't seem like a bad platinum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just finishing up the bounties after I beat the game, so it does let you play.
Oh, the bounty. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I like that. So I'm on the last one now. So after I'm done that, I think I'm gonna put it down for a bit and then do New Game Plus eventually. But there's other games coming out that need my time.
Yeah, and I have a feeling like with tomorrow, with Zelda coming out tomorrow, I think it's going to be like beat Survivor and jump to Zelda.
Games are never good, dude.
Don't worry, they're awful. Fucking awful.
They have a bad track record.
Shifty,
but
Miyamoto. Shifty.
So I'm gonna throw this out there. Like, the force powers are really fun.
I really enjoyed what they added. Especially the lifting and the dropping ones. I started using those a lot toward the end of my playthrough. They're really great in this game.
For me, it was all about, oh, that guy's got a repeater. I'm just gonna grab him and shoot every fucker in front of me. Like, that was really cool.
Yeah,
and
I like that.
Just the entire confusion tree was a blast for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the things where there's the side effect of, if you confuse an enemy and that enemy kills another enemy, you get nothing for it.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things where I'll confuse an enemy, let them beat them up a little bit, and then come in and try and get the last hit.
Kill steal, yeah.
Kill steal, yeah, exactly.
That's one of those things. Sure. That's one of those skills where any game that has like any type of skill that allows you to take over the mind of another character, I'm always gunning for those skills first, like no matter what the game is.
That's the first tree I finished.
Same here.
Like confusion, I just went right up the tree. I'm like, I'll take all of that.
I don't think I put one in there.
Oh,
yeah. Really?
It's so
you missed. I was all about there's like a really good stuff, man.
It's really fun. Yeah, especially when you have those Gatling gun guys. Like those Gatling gun guys can mow through the chaff in the field, because you get surrounded toward the end, like the back third of the game. Like you are constantly surrounded by enemies, so it does help to have that little extra assistance.
I will say that I feel like even the push and the pull are more effective in this game than they were in the previous one.
I agree.
Especially against like big guys. Like when you max out the pull, and you can pull guys and like literally pull them down to the ground and then start a combo on them. That's like it's changes a lot. Like just it just feels really effective.
They treat lift the same way over time. You can, if you invest in it, you can like raise even like the biggest enemies in the air and stuff like that, which is really fun. And slam
I'll have to go look at that tree. I haven't really messed with that one yet.
It's really fun. The button combinations are a little odd, but once you get used to it, like you'll use it all the time. It's really, really good.
Nice.
Another thing that I really loved, I think in terms of like a third person character action game, regardless if it's open world or not, I think this is some of my favorite platforming in probably any game that I've ever had. I thought the platforming was perfection. Especially when you undergo some of those force tears where you have like the challenge, because some of the force tears are challenge combat rooms, but some of them are platforming, and it is incredibly fun. Like they can be frustrating because they're tough. They're not easy. But
I ran into my first one after they give you the dash. Like after you get after you get the extra piece, the extra ability on the dash. I ran into my first one, and you're pretty much trying to stay in the air the whole time, right? Yeah. Running on walls, jumping, and when you do the dash, and you end up recharging all your stuff and doing it again, and It took me, I'd say, I want to say 9 or 10 times to get through it, but it was pretty damn satisfying at the end there.
It's
when I finished
really
it.
great. It's really
Yeah.
great. But like the like stringing together like your wall run and you jump off, air dash, double jump, grapple to another and then dash to another wall, and you're just like stringing these back and forth, and it's super smooth, no issue. Like other games we're talking about input lag or anything like that, like none of that exists. Like it's like a really smooth experience. I thought it was just hands down the best, especially in a genre where the platforming is so hit or miss sometimes. Um, it's spot on. It's almost perfection for me. Like the entire time I was playing it, I'm like I could just platform all day long. The only issues that I had with the platforming or any type of platforming is when you had the issues where you had to like hold on to the pterodactyls and stuff like that. Like that was
Yeah,
a
that
little,
wasn't. Yeah,
it was a little
was
finicky and stuff
finicky.
like that.
Yeah.
It felt out of place, honestly.
I'm
mean, it was
I'm
fine.
seething in. I can't hold this in anymore. I hate the platforming. I
Really?
can't deal with.
Wow.
Oh God.
So the one thing
Oh,
I'll say about
it
the one
hurt.
thing I'll say
It
that I
physically
hate
hurt.
about the
It's so
platforming
good.
I'm sorry.
is like when you're actually jumping to a platform, sometimes it's really hard to judge where you're going to land. So I ran into problems there sometimes, but like the standard like just getting around the world stuff, like I really enjoyed that.
The story is something that really caught me off guard.
Well, no, I want to know what Jason like hated about the platforming. I want to dig into that.
It's the old Uncharted argument where everything's overly animated. Sometimes you don't know exactly what you're leaping to when they have like a strict track of what you're supposed to grab onto, what you're not supposed to, and it's just completely obtuse. Like what you're supposed to be grabbing.
A lot of it is automatic.
Yeah.
I don't agree. Yeah, I
There's
think it's...
well, I will say there were several occasions, and again, I'm what did Jeff say? Maybe 2/3 of the way through the game, there were several occasions where just when he's like climbing and he's trying to reach for another area and trying to jump to another like grate or whatever it is, and all of a sudden he jumps backwards and falls to his death, and I'm just like, what the fuck happened?
When I'm talking about platforming, I'm not talking about anything to do with like climbing. I agree that it's not exciting. It's not he climbs faster, which I'm grateful for, but like it's the climbing in and of itself is not as exciting. I'm just talking about the more running and jumping and wall running and double jumping and dashing and type of thing. I felt that is perfection. But like, yeah, I can see where you're saying if you include climbing in the mix, yeah, it's not
in platforming and perfection platforming. Yes, I'll include that.
I mean, it's not Celeste or anything like that. Like I'll give you that, but it's I really enjoyed it like throughout the entire time playing it.
Once
really
you get the ability to go through green doors, it opens up a lot of platforming cool shit.
Okay.
That makes a big difference.
I
mean,
have that,
it's kind of scripted differences though. Like only certain areas you can do certain cool shit.
Right.
Like this game has one of the coolest things I've seen or done in like not to steal from Greg Miller, but I think it was Greg Miller posted something on Twitter saying that he did something that was one of the coolest things ever done in a video game, and I was wondering what it was, and then I did something and I was like, this has to be what he's talking about. I was like, that was fucking awesome.
Okay, have I gotten there yet?
Well, do you have the ability to go through green doors?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Then probably.
Okay.
Yeah. What else? Oh, the story. I was going to say the story is really cool. I'm not going to go into spoilers. It's probably one of the better Star Wars stories since Mandalorian.
That's
and
cool.
even before Mandalorian up to a certain point. And it's kind of like the tale of two stories. That's what I really liked. I did not I liked how they did certain things. I do think that some things are predictable, but other than that, so good. So good.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that too, because I'm still kind of working through that. I haven't gotten the like for me, it's just trying to get to a place, and that's pretty much it at this point.
Yeah.
So
the one thing I'll say about the story is that it gets so damn good towards the end that it makes me think, was like the first couple of acts of the story like actually kind of bad? Like the performances are great. The performances are great all around. The performances are awesome, but like just like the driving storyline, I was like, I just don't think it gets like really great. It's fine and it's good, but it doesn't get great until like towards the end. Like there's a moment that is just like mind blowing and it's really good. So, but overall, as a as a complete package. I agree with Jeff. It's definitely one of my favorite Star Wars stories in a long time. Like I would put it up there with like something like Mandalorian season 1 and 2. I don't think I would compare it to something like Andor. I thought Andor was top notch. But yeah, it's
a different kind of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's a very different kind of Star Wars. You either love it. Well, I'm not going to say you love it or hate it, but it's a very different type of Star Wars story.
Yeah. So, any other games, gents?
Yeah, I'm hoping to have that beat next week when we chat. So
cool.
We'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited for Zelda. Jumping in it.
God damn it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we should do a spoiler cast.
Friggin' Zelda hype got me. It got me.
Did you get it?
Did you get it?
Shit.
All right.
Zelda,
did you get like the big special edition, or just get right?
Oh no, just a regular edition.
Okay,
digital. I was thinking about getting that OLED. I was eyeing that up today, going.
It's nice. It's nice.
I don't have the OLED yet, but this is the thing. Like I told myself I would not buy Tears of the Kingdom because it was $70.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to get this OLED screen because I play docked all the time. But I was still caught up in everything with all these 10s floating about.
It is nice.
Jesus.
It is nice. I'm really pumped to play it.
I dig it.
And I think it's going to be, we're going to talk about it. So let's probably jump into news, because I think we're going to jump right into the same topic.
I mean, yeah, let's get down to news. And Zelda comes out tomorrow. Reviews hit today. 10s almost across the board, guys. It has right now, it's sitting at like a 97, which is the highest rated game since Mario Odyssey, I believe.
Wow.
And it's
since the last Nintendo game to do it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, for real. So that's out tomorrow. I think we're all getting it, so I'm sure we'll all be talking about that next podcast. So that's kind of, I mean, it's not surprising. It's surprising, but not surprising, considering how good Breath of the Wild was. It's like, can they do that again? And still do.
It's kind of hard to be a gamer right now, right? Like, especially when you're talking about new releases, because there's now so much trepidation with the issues with Jedi Survivor and the issues with Redfall, and it's like, okay, what's gonna be like? Is Nintendo gonna do this to us now? Like, that's something that's not been their MO, like releasing a game that
I was not worried.
Kind of half baked.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, according to the Digital Foundry, the review, the pre day one patch was constantly going sub 30 frames per second. It seems like it's hitting a constant 30, except for it seems like it's hitting a constant 30, but like pre-patch they were concerned about it. They admitted it, but the patch fixed things, so
okay,
that's fine.
Well, that's good. At least the patch fixed things,
as long as it fixes it.
Yeah.
But I'm just nervous with new games nowadays. I don't know what it is. Like, I'm starting to.
I know what it is. Yeah, games have betrayed us.
I'm not nervous about new games, but it's one of those things where I certainly am stepping back from unless it's something that I really want to sink my teeth into. I'm stepping back from getting things right away.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons, price and for stability and things like that. So
Yeah, Jason, you nailed it, man. Because like I was going to purchase the game today, and I logged into my Switch. I got into the store and I saw $69.99, and I'm like, what? On a 7-year-old console? Get out of here! A $70 game. But I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's worth it, I guess.
I ended up doing that coupon deal where you pay like $100 and you actually get 2 games out of it, essentially. So you get Zelda, and then I've got a redemption token for like another game. It's got to be a pre-approved one, but it looks like they've been putting a lot of their first-party stuff on there. So,
that's good.
So eventually,
and can you do it? Is that just for new releases, or you can jump into any previous release?
Not any previous release. There's a list of probably about 30, 40, 50 games that are that fall
all
under
their past releases are full price still anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's right.
But things like Mario Kart and Odyssey and stuff that doesn't normally go on sale. Those are all on there.
Kind of make you like pre-invest in it and make your own sale kind of thing. I heard that Rabbids and Mario games pretty fly.
It's not bad. Yeah. The new one, Sparks of Hope.
Yep.
All right. Well, maybe a developer has the same thoughts that we do, and they decided to delay a game. Maybe it's to fix things up. And according to Polygon, Hollow Knight Silksong, which we talked about earlier, the first game, it's been delayed. It was originally supposed to come out this year. It was originally supposed to come out, I guess, before June because it was on the Microsoft showcase where they said every game's going to be released within a year, but it has been pushed. No hard date. There was no hard date before. We just figured it was going to be this year, so it might not be.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, I'll never have a problem with delays. Like even if like I was excited about Redfall and like 2 weeks before release, they were like, you know what? With the news of the 30 frames per second and reviewing and auditing the game and seeing how it is, you know, we know we're releasing in a couple of weeks, but we're going to go ahead and push it back. I would have had so much respect for that decision, that transparency. I'm all for that. There's plenty of video games to play. Like I'm going to be bummed that I can't play Silksong anytime soon, but I want to play a good version of Silksong. I want it to be ready. I want it to be the vision that
that's really the thing, right? I mean, everybody who wants the game is going to be slightly disappointed, but I would rather wait for something good than get something bad early, you know? And no one's, but if you put out a good game, no one's going to remember that you delayed it.
Yeah.
You put out a bad game, it's always going to fucking
everyone's going to
I mean,
know.
not always, but they're going to remember it was bad, so.
Yeah. So I'm all for it. Like I wish these guys the best, and hopefully they when the game's ready. I mean, I'm day one for sure. So.
All right.
Yeah, I'm certainly all for them doing what they need to do to make it as good as possible. So
absolutely.
We good there?
Yep.
I think man.
Because this is starting to sound or seem like 2009 all over again. Because it was rumored for a while that the next Mortal Kombat game is in the works, and GameSpot was reporting that it has kind of leaked, or there's been some leakers who've said that it's actually is going to be a reboot of the series again, like they did in 2009. Going to be called Mortal Kombat 1. There should be a reveal soon.
Is it actually
probably.
Mortal Kombat 1? Like they're calling it Mortal Kombat 1?
The trailer, I watched the trailer and it's a clock ticking around, like the long hands like ticking around the clock, and it goes 10, 11, and then it skips 12 and goes straight to 1 and like focuses on that.
Yeah.
So it's assuming that it's Mortal Kombat 1. Yeah.
I mean, at the risk of spoiling everything, you know, that happened in 11, I can say that stuff gets reset. This would make sense to hop off
to be
this.
A reboot.
Yep, to be a reboot.
I don't mind that. I just hope they drastically change it up and they don't just do like the same kind of thing again. Because I guess they couldn't really go in. I'm not sure how many of you guys played through the story of 11.
Dude, it was great. It was really good.
Oh, it was awesome.
I love what NetherRealm does. We're single player in their fighting games. Like Injustice is good. Mortal Kombat's been good since 9. I really enjoy what they do, because otherwise I would never pick up these games. That's why I'm excited for Street Fighter 6 to have a first like a single player mode,
a single player aspect.
Yeah, like a story based mode or something like that. Like that pulls me into these games. Like I like it, and they're campy and corny, but that's good. Like it's fun. They're supposed to be for these IPs. So I'm excited for this, reboot or not. I will definitely play this day one for sure.
Cool.
Good stuff.
All right, and following up, we did actually touch on a lot of this already, so I'm not sure how much more detail we want to go into. But with the release of Redfall and everything, it being clearly not finished or ready for launch, Star Wars not ready. Phil Spencer did go on a Kind of Funny Games podcast and kind of speak about the situation and the situation in general at Xbox and stuff. And we're going to discuss what we think of kind of where the industry is right now and how these AAA games seem to be missing more than they aren't in terms of like polish. Not so much in terms of how good a game is, because they get there eventually. Like Cyberpunk was probably the biggest offender that got a lot of attention a couple years back. But
I mean, people forget that Witcher 3 was even pretty brutal.
Oh yeah,
yeah, Witcher 3 was pretty bad too.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Well, what do you guys think though? Because I mean, I think it's getting worse. Like this has been something we've been living with, and any person who plays video games knows and kind of expects this from last generation, even towards the end of the one before that. But I think we all thought this is going to start making a turn for the better at some point. But it doesn't seem like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the hell's going on?
Here is my primary concern with shit like this. As a collector, when the online systems are gone, what am I doing with my games? Right? Like, how does that work? Like, I feel like there needs to be some sort of solution to the idea that if you have a physical copy of a game, I can no longer download whatever necessary patches are there, and I can no longer play this. Like, so Jedi Survivor, right? I have it on. I got the
A huge game.
Yeah, it's a huge game. It's on a Blu-ray. You put it in the Blu-ray, and it downloads another 100 gigs of stuff. If that download's not available, am I gonna be able to play that game? Like, I'm more concerned about that. I honestly don't have an issue with like the way things are happening. Games are getting larger. They're getting more complex. There's more to test, right? And it's hard to cover everything.
Good.
Right? It's hard to cover every use
Then
case.
delay your fucking game and
that's what it
release
comes
it when
down
it's ready.
to.
Then, because I'm tired of like hedging my bet, not on the game, but on the fact that the game is going to be ready once a fix releases.
If
Yeah.
And there are limits, right? There's always going to be limits, but it's I don't have like, and if the game is horrible at the beginning, right? Like Redfall, you're saying it's that bad. I'm probably just not going to fuck with that one at all, right? Unless I do it like on Game Pass or something like that,
Right?
Unless I can get it for free. But you know, when it comes to patching games as a whole, there's no solution to what happens when that patch is not, when that, you know, PSN is no longer available.
That's after. But imagine being like, we're in a kind of like a privileged state in our lives where, I was gonna say we all work, but
where we have all the consoles, you know.
We have the consoles, and we buy a lot of games per year. Imagine like waiting for something like Star Wars and being like, you only buy a couple games a year, and you get that day one, and it's just a shit show. Like, we have no problem waiting because, one, we have other stuff we can play, and we can play the other games that we're finally patched and ready to go. And like the first adopters, like the early adopters, we get screwed every time, but we keep doing it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be hypocritical and say, you know, like, don't buy it because whatever, because I do it. I buy games on day one, what games I really want, and I'll put up with it to a certain extent. Look, recently, Callisto Protocol didn't review that well, and a lot of the problems that the reviews had and people who played the game, by the time I played it, which was only about, I don't even know if it was a month later, they made significant changes to the actual gameplay that made the game better. So I was like, I don't see what people were complaining about. Then I look back, I'm like, holy shit, they actually patched a lot of stuff. Like, it's not a different game than on launch day, but it was different enough where the issues a lot of people had weren't there anymore. And not technical issues, I mean like gameplay issues.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, man. I'm like kind of with Travis. I'm getting tired of it. Like, it's game after game after game, and like,
and
Zelda is the outlier at this point.
And the slap in the face is that this generation, the games have gotten $10 more expensive. Like, and it's going to continue. And then the regression has been the worst it's ever been. I think we can say objectively. And like Jeff and I have this running thing. Even a joke, we're being dead serious, but like, we have been so hyped for probably the past year and a half talking about next gen, because recently, like, we're 2-3 years
or 2.5 years, almost 3
like
years
into the PS5, and we're just now starting to get games more consistently that are not available on previous generations, even if it's just at launch and it's a timed release or something.
The first game, Gotham Knights or Arkham Knights.
Yeah.
What's it called? Arkham Knights?
Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights.
Didn't that get delayed indefinitely or something?
It was it's out. It was delayed.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm thinking of
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. Yeah. Sorry.
But that's a game people realized was not good just by looking at gameplay reveals,
Just
and they decided
watching
to
the gameplay.
reveal it.
It was screenshots. It was like when we saw like the Destiny style screenshots
Yep.
and saw that it was going to be a games of service. So everybody was like, "Yeah, I don't." And that's a problem, man. Like sometimes trends, people think specific trend, they see success from a couple other companies, and then you have this long development time. It's been what 8 or 9 years since
Oh,
the
wow.
last
Yeah.
Rocksteady game, and then now people are tired of games as a service. Like there's only a couple of
Yeah.
champions in that in that genre, and people don't really want anymore. Like I'm excited for Diablo 4. I am, because I
Mhm.
love Diablo as I love the property, but um I'm not excited. Like I love that they're being super transparent about what it looks like, but their end game looks like Destiny 2, and I'm not interested in that. Like I don't want this like never-ending game. I want to create a build on one character, and I just want to play until I get tired of it or the next game comes out. But like they're building their series around like games of service, and I'm just not interested in that kind of longevity for a game. There's too many things to play.
Or
It's a whole nother tangent, but
the next gen price tag that you said, there's $70 there now. They're $100 here,
yeah.
and we're seeing games release. Not even games that aren't buggy, like Halo Infinite launched.
I got a devil advocate on you guys real quick. Games are now the same price they were when N64 was out.
I mean,
Just saying.
Yeah, but
PlayStation and PlayStation and Saturn were $50, but N64 games were $70.
Oh
You
yeah, I
know?
know. But I
That's
still don't
fair.
think that's an excuse. Also, okay, those
That's
games
fair.
released complete, and they were, for the most part,
Sure.
they worked. Like,
I mean, you had to play
when
them on a
you're
shitty
charging,
controller, but
when
whatever.
you're paying $100, yeah.
and
When you're
the
paying
fog of
$100
war was like nothing you've ever seen before.
if you're paying $100 for Redfall, what the fuck? And like Halo Infinite was great. Like I'm sorry, like it is a great game. It was at launch in terms of the multiplayer and the single player,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but it was not feature complete. It didn't have half the things that they were asking for. And one company, which I got to give kudos to, that have turned themselves around, is Capcom. And in 2 weeks, Jason
they're
and I
fucking awesome, man.
are going to be playing a game that we'll probably get in. Like, well, it's Street Fighter 6 is going to be huge for us, and Street Fighter 5 was in shambles when that thing launched.
That was
Not
super
technically,
rough,
it had like no modes at all, and
Yep.
this looks like it's got features coming out the ass. Like it looks like it's got a lot of stuff for day one.
Yep.
And do you think other publishers are going to see this and the success that Capcom's having, like, and start, turning the page or going around, I don't know, whatever fucking metaphor you want to use in this situation? Because it's outside of Capcom and a few other ones, like Nintendo's always been fine.
Yeah.
And Sony lately has been pretty good for their first party stuff.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
other
Sony first party
ones,
stuff's really
yeah.
fun.
It's been a rut as of late. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's like more games now are releasing in such a broken state, but it's definitely been a long streak, it seems, in the past couple of years.
For the major releases,
yeah.
too. That's what's
so
shocking.
what major releases? Like we're talking about Redfall, we're talking about Jedi Survivor.
I mean,
What other
Halo
ones
Halo was
stand
a really
Yeah,
big
Halo was a
standout
good
for
one.
that, yeah.
Jeff
Yeah.
mentioned Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk was pretty
3.
bad at release.
Yep.
Fallout 76.
Oh well, that game was just like they just didn't finish it. Like that was an MMO that they put it out, and then everybody said this isn't Fallout, and then they made it Fallout.
It's thriving now, though. It's doing really well. That's like, and it's because of stuff they change. And again, I think the price point's a big issue. If they release an early access, because technically that's what we're doing. We're beta testing these games day one for
Full
people
price.
that buy it down, for full price. And then unless you're going to return to these games, like, okay, I'm going to bring up Requiem again. That game was great. I loved it. So good. It was 30 frames per second when it launched. No problem with that. They never said anything that it was going to be anything higher than that on consoles. I was fine with that. They just released a 60 frames per second patch today or yesterday. One of the 2 days. This situation I don't mind because they never made a promise that they didn't keep. But it's another example of if you wait, how long has it been? 6 months? When did that game came out? I don't know. It was last year. Was it last year? You're getting technically a better version. And I think
sucks.
people are starting to get, they're starting to get sick of that and be like, listen, like, that should be the minimum, like littlest thing that should be added afterwards. But when games are releasing with features not there, games not working,
Yeah.
crashing happening, saves being deleted.
I know the Street Fighter V was a big deal, like the lack of
modes,
gameplay modes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that being a pretty big deal.
Some of those like stats and shit in that game like still don't even work to this day. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know there's been other ones. I'm just trying to think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of ones like. Sorry.
And my final thought, on this, we'll go back to the anecdote that I was talking about, where this internal conversation that Jeff and I were having about being excited about next gen popping in and out, and not truly getting like this next gen feel, being so deep into the life cycle of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, and like I feel like we're close to like PS5 Pro announcements, and yet we've still.
Oh, I hope not.
Like
I hope not.
And we still have. I hope not either, but like I feel like it's coming.
I think they already said it's coming, didn't they?
I feel like it's coming.
I think
but
they're
like
coming.
we had, and Jeff and I are holding out hope, major gamer, but it's still not truly next gen. For that current gen or next gen only Unreal 5, like the true next gen experience. Like we're like, we can't reserve our judgment on how things are going until we get that one thing. So we're still dangling on this thread of fucking like, maybe it'll get better. Maybe. And I feel like
because all those
a fool's
tools,
errand, Jeff.
all those tools, man, they're supposed to make all that shit easier for developers. And sorry, I'm bringing up something here because there's 2 games that I played this year that were not AAA games. They were what you consider like AA or B tier or whatnot. And they were the most polished games I played all year. And I can't bring up this list for some reason. But Evil West is one of them.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say it. Yes.
Yep. Evil West. And I need to find the other one because I remember I played. I'm like, these are. Considering like these games had like no hype and whether you liked them or not is one thing, but they were polished. They worked.
Didn't they just get Evil West running on Steam Deck or something?
I don't know. I played it on console.
I played it on PC. It was great.
I might need to pick up Evil West. I haven't played that yet. So
it's fun.
I mean, you brought up Capcom. If you want to talk about a positive, complete package, pretty much of the year so far. I mean, Resident Evil 2 remake was. I was not excited about that game. I was like, I've played this game. Not Resident Evil 4. I was like, I have played that game so many times. I am not excited about replaying it, and I could not have been more dead wrong at how feature complete and how updated that game was. I think when you're talking about like what's the most complete game, if you were to have that to be your only litmus when you're talking about a game of the year, like I think by far it's the most complete game, probably the best game that was released all year.
Yeah, agreed. Sorry, the other game was definitely more well received than Evil West, but Hi-Fi Rush.
Oh yeah,
that game was like.
Oh, I haven't played that yet either.
You'll like it, Chris.
I know. I've watched the videos. I really want to play it. So that I honestly between that and is Evil West on
Game Pass?
PC Game Pass?
No,
not on Game Pass.
No.
Okay. But you know, Hi-Fi Rush is, and I'm pretty sure there's at least like 2 other games right now that are really pushing me to do Game Pass because I haven't gotten it yet. So
I love when a good AA game knocks your socks off, man. Like that,
it's so good.
It's so
they
good.
don't exist. It's the AAA games that are the ones releasing with the most problems.
Yeah.
So that's Anyway, industry, I know you're listening. I know. Fix that shit.
I still want a solution to my problem. And Nintendo had a perfect opportunity because they released basically the physical games are little cards, and they could have easily made those writable and put all the patches to write right onto the card so that you always had an updated version of the game. Now, there's definitely some security issues there that they would have to address.
I was gonna say.
You know, that's I'm in IT. I hold, I know that's
Storage
there.
Too.
Yeah. Well, no, and that's the thing. Think about how much you can get into an SD card right now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they could do SD type storage to at least make the game viable. They can still use hard drives, right? Just when they do a patch, you put the card in, it patches the game on the hard drive and updates it on the card too, so you have it for whenever that online network isn't available.
You'll never get console players to sign off on anything like that, though. We want it quick and easy and now.
I'm surprised Nintendo doesn't still put games on like cassette tapes. So
vinyl record
storage.
Laser
I just mean even Blu-rays though, like that wouldn't like not Fallen Order, Survivor wouldn't even fit on one Blu-ray.
Nope.
So you know what? I'm fine with but it doesn't really matter. It's kind of moot. I was going to say I don't care if they release games on multiple discs anymore. That was a thing in 360 and PS3 days, or more 360 because PS3 had
PS1.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. Especially with the hard drives, you're still installing.
Think about the Final Fantasy games. How many discs were Final Fantasy 7 was 3 discs.
Yeah,
8 was 3, I think, right? 3 or 4. 9 was
too many.
9 multiple discs.
I'm gonna go even further on this one. You guys remember an old Sierra game called Phantasmagoria? It was one of the first. That was 8 CD-ROMs.
Oh my
played that entire game. Yeah, that was Roberta Williams's, who did King's Quest. That was Roberta Williams's horror franchise, and the first game was fully FMV from start to finish, and it was 8 CD-ROMs, 7 or 8 CD-ROMs, but it was insane. It's fun. It's really good and campy. It's great. Yeah,
cool
good stuff.
Any final thoughts on that topic? I'm sure it'll come up at some point again. The next time a game.
Any game release.
Hey, what do you guys think? Why don't you guys drop us a line and tell us what you guys think?
Yeah, speaking of drop us a line before we end up the show, usually around this time we would be doing a mailbag segment. But since it's our first show back, we haven't had a chance to ask you guys for mail for any type of emails and everything like that. And Chris, I believe we have an email address.
We do. It is still email at interactivedistractions. So you guys are more than welcome to reach out to us that way and tell us, what's on your mind. If you have any rebuttals to anything that we said, I'm sure there's lots of stuff that can be combative. That
I said wrong that you need to correct me. I'm fine.
Listen, I knew it was spinning bird kick the whole time. I was fucking with you.
Damn it, Scott! But yeah, absolutely reach out to us and drop us an email, and we will happily read them on the show.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else. You guys have anything else before we wrap this up?
I have a question, Jeff. Should we bring back Indus questions? I feel like that was a very easy way for people to submit.
We'll talk about that and maybe on the next show. Figure if we're going to revitalize that.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
Forgot.
That was a thing.
And go check out our LINKTREE, which is below me, which is linktree. It's linktr.com/interactivedistractions, right?
Yep.
And then we've got the short email, the short address in the frame there. But yeah, I think that's it, guys.
Yeah.
We're good to go?
Welcome back.
I think so.
Welcome back, man. More than 1,500 days, and we actually wrapped up a real show. So
we did it.
Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please tell a few friends about us and visit our LINKTREE and check us out. But until next time, my name is Chris.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Travis.
Play your games, and we'll talk to you next week.